A big hello once again to everyone watching. Welcome to this brand new part in the Transport Fever 2 series. We're back here over in... Oh god, I still haven't learned how to pronounce this name. Cirencester? Cirencester? One of those ones. Where in the last part I left off wanting to start a subway network through the town, do like a little circle line type thing. Didn't actually finish it, but in between the episodes, off camera, I did finish it, and that is now up and running. For now, we're using these little shuttle things, but in a couple of years' time, we will be able to upgrade to proper 92 stock trains instead of having these pathetic little... I don't even know where they're from. I think these might be from mainland Europe, I'd want to say. Maybe Switzerland? They look like the type of thing you'd see roaming like the mountainous peaks of the Swiss Alps. Also, hello DJ. The same as City Bus Manager. It's very similar. This, I would say, is like the 3D version of City Bus Manager, and also you can manage other cities. It is not just based in one city. So you can do the entire network for each individual city, connect them up with like a really expansive railway network. Set up your own, bus routes, transports, freight lines, set up main lines, set up branch lines. It's very good fun. Speaking of which, judging by passenger numbers, we will probably have to, I was going to say maybe add like increased service on our circular or the service down to Manningtree. But this looks like it's not too bad. Whereas over here, going to Cirencester Central from Manningtree, very busy. So that is what we're going to do next, is we're going to actually lengthen these trains from 4 cars. Also, maybe replace them with these class 421s, electric multiple units. Also, hello Crazy. Hello Tico. Nimby Rails is a little more City Bus Manager for me. It is, to be fair. I feel like Nimby Rails really is the the 2D version of Transport Fever, like for the City Bus Manager worlds. And well, yeah, true. I haven't played Transport Fever 2 in a very long time as well. I decided to get back into it to create this series, and it's going pretty well. It's really enjoyable. What's really got me back into it is looking at all the mods that people have made, because obviously this game is a lot more European-based and Asian-based, so a lot of the station designs, a lot of the trains are actual mainland Europe units or Asian units, unless you go for the desert American style, then you obviously get like the American units. I don't think in the base game there are any UK or British units off the top of my head, so I decided to create a new series, download some workshop content, start off in the 50s, the time when British Rail was founded in the UK, and pretend to be that, except the actual, instead of the Big Four being brought under the government, combine the Big Four into a private enterprise. What made you like transports? That's kind of like, how do you even answer that question? It's like asking someone why they enjoy football. I mean, or what made them like football. I just enjoy transport. And I enjoy these types of games. It's just a lot of fun to watch. As like, this is a network you've made, and you can see the people simulated using it being very popular, because here we have 200 people waiting on the main line to take them up to St. Albans or Amersham. And I think that kind of answers that question. I mean, why I like transport in general is just, I guess because I'm a nerd like that, really. Looking at this stop, the outer circle might need, I was going to say a frequency increase, but it's hemorrhaging money, so maybe not. Also, we just unlocked the class 50. locomotives, which are nice. Get this going. Is this... this isn't really making any money. That is a bit unfortunate, to be honest. Looking at the main line. Main line's making decent money. Now mostly we're just in this period where like we can't really afford to do too much. So this branch line really does need longer units or frequency uplifts. Where's the depot on this? I suppose it's just this mainline depot. Only UK vanilla vehicles are the flying... Oh yes, I forgot, yeah. That is true. I so rarely play in the Steam Age. I prefer to start in either the mid-1900s or like towards the end of the 20th century in like 1970. That's when I ideally prefer to start, because I find the game very, very slow if you start in the 1800s where it's only Steam. Just because it takes like a full maybe 3-4 hours to get you from there to the 1900s. So I just tend to skip that part, and so that is why I've completely forgotten. That is true, they do have the Flying Scotsman and the A4. I really hope the next update will fix optimization, including the HST with the Deluxe Edition. That's also coming out as well. Yes, I did forget about that. They are planning on updating this game with the HST. And optimization fix, to be honest, that's what they've been saying they're going to do, like, how many times now? How many updates do they say? Is this not... Oh, this is not electrified. Whoops. Whoops. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that. Okay, so what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to switch this over onto the branch line and then switch this onto the main line, since the main line's electrified and the branch line is not. And this is a diesel unit, which is going to do a full lap of the underground circle line that we've made. Okay, get it going in the other direction. Hopefully it will go into the correct platform. There we go. Get this going over here. This has a capacity for 76 people, and this has a capacity of 178, so we're a very slight capacity increase for this line. It's starting in the 1990s mostly. Yeah, that is around the period I like to start as well. I like to go a bit before in like the 1970s, because I feel like that's just at the cups of when, like, especially in the UK, when diesel trains were and steam trains were being phased out for proper like electric multiple units. So I feel like that's like a good point to begin, because then you have a few years of growth where like you can build up your bank balance until the 90s. Because in the 90s, buying locomotives and in this game anyway, and like building railways is quite expensive, and I tend to find, well, this sort of happens where you don't really have enough money. Like I have 27 million in the bank right now, but I don't really have enough money to upgrade any of my lines. And that happens quite a lot in the 90s. Are you going to try and make the Metropolitan line? Technically, I guess I already have, because, I mean, I'm serving Amersham. I don't think we have anywhere called Chesham or Harrow. I mean, we have Welwyn Garden City. I can create the Northern City line, which was once part of the tube on the Northern line, and then was switched over to National Rail. Or I could also try and make like the Waterloo and City line, which, to be honest, what even would that be in this game? Let's see. I suppose the Waterloo and City line would be like if we have two stations within one town, two major stations, and then we just create like a little branch line between them. So if I create from Amersham, this is going to be like Amersham Central, and then let's say up here in the north of the town, create another station, and then I'll create a little like underground shuttle between them. Call that the Amersham and City line. I feel like that would be good fun. Oops. I always forget, it's not the numbers to speed up the time in this game. I've been playing too much City Skylines. So that's what we're doing. Here we have 50 people waiting on our underground line. It's just a shame. This needs a higher capacity to make it worthwhile, but then higher capacity will cost even more. Do we use 200? 200 capacity seems a bit much. Maybe use a diesel train, use one of the like 2-car ones. These have capacity of 86. I feel like that's probably better. Capacity of 72. No. High capacity. Place it with this. So now it can pick up more and hopefully actually turn a profit instead of hemorrhaging money. My biggest map gets like 5 FPS. To be fair, I used to come across that problem, but ever since upgrading my PC, I don't really come across it. What actually tends to happen is when I get towards the later stages of the game, the actual simulation slows down quite dramatically. For example, I'd have it on 3 times speed, but it would still feel like I'm playing the game at like 0.5% speed. Like, my frames will be perfectly fine. I won't lose like frame rate, but the simulation will be really, really slow. So an entire year will take probably like maybe 20 minutes instead of a usual 5. Okay, so this main line has a frequency of 5 minutes. Might want to get one more vehicle onto this, just to up that to 3 minutes, which the game finds is like an ideal frequency to attract passengers. On top of that is a pretty busy line. We've unlocked the MAN SL, and we have the German units that can do 200 kilometers per hour, which is completely useless for us because none of our tracks have a speed limit that high. You've got Chorley, and you can make a branch line from Amersham. Do I? Where's Chorley? Hold on. Am I blind? Christchurch. Oh yeah, I do have Chorley. And it is basically a straight line from Amersham. Amersham Chorley. Yeah, I can do that. Name it the Metropolitan line. Actually, I might actually start doing that. So come here, get a UK station, get a Network Southeast branded one. Get it. 160 meters I feel like will be fine. I don't suspect this is going to be like a really busy line. I mean, I kind of hope it would be, but something's telling me that probably won't be because we're doing like the outer fringes of the Metropolitan line. This is not going to be, you know, largely busy. Yeah, my biggest and favorite map crashes constantly, and I've worked on it so much. I have 260 vehicles, basically. I have Chorley, but not Chorley Wood. See, look, if I come over here, Chorley. There we go. I have renamed the place where you live. You have no idea who I am. You never heard of me before, but I've renamed it because I have money and that's what I can do. You can rename... Yeah, it's not sandbox only. I don't have, like... Yeah, it's not on sandbox modes, and I can still rename the cities. So I've decided to rename that to Chorley Woods. I play sandbox all the time because for me, cities sometimes are a bit far spaced out. I tend to agree. That's why I also tend to up the density of cities so that they are a bit closer together, and I have like plenty of options. For example, here you can see these cities are like very close to each other. They're in very close proximity, but it's also fun to have like a really large map and then create like an express service from like say one corner of the map to the other. That I always tend to find makes me a shed load of money. Those are always good options. Definitely something I will eventually do in this series, create like a HS1, HS2. I think I do have the class 395 installed. I'm not sure if that's actually a mod for this game or if I'm just thinking of City Skylines, because I know for certain I do have it installed on the City Skylines save. Okay, enough waffle, because I will create this little branch line up to Chorley Woods from Amersham. And in typical Metropolitan style, I'm going to put the station in the middle of nowhere in the suburbs instead of actually in the town centre. Maybe I'm harping on a bit too much, thinking of like Watford's, which is on the Met line. My big map, my Dutch map mostly. Animated is very ugly. I have a TGV service from one end to the other. Yeah, I like doing that as well, but it is, as you said, it becomes like really messy trying to get a straight line that can do like 300 kilometers per hour all the way across the map. So I tend to try and make it look nice, but sometimes you get like huge viaducts. And in the earlier stages of like when I was playing this game a couple of years ago, I would do like huge viaducts that basically just ran across the entire map because, to try to keep it level. But now I try actually make it like conform more to the terrain and try avoid disgusting looking viaducts that just like, I don't know, go like above this towns and having a massive viaduct that basically runs from like the top of the mountain here that just goes all the way up until like the next mountain. Because the game tends to do that if you build track in like one massive section, it tries to keep it level. Okay, so I'm gonna also actually build the station up in Chorley Woods. Should I create a stop in Kidsgrove? Maybe I'll leave that to my... No. I think what I'll do is I'll create also like a mini St. Albans Abbey line. So it'll be like a separate service from St. Albans that comes up here and then also serves Chorleywood. I mean, this is a bit of a pointless construction because Chorleywood, even in this game, is not that big. So I don't know why it has like a dedicated service to Amersham, but we're doing it because it was suggested, and I think that's just a funny thing to actually implement. Come over here to the passenger buildings, get it actually connected and on both sides. There we go. I mean, looks a bit horrendous, but it will do for now. Get our 125 mile per hour track limits, which is this one. Don't have any catenary because this is third rail powered. Now get this basically in a straight line down to Amersham. Cutting through the terrain here in a straight line. Having class 350 race SLT is blurst. Yeah, no, that's true. But my main maps fleet is weird. Weird mix of trains for UK and the Netherlands. Yeah, that tends to be mine as well. Now, thankfully, because I have quite a lot of UK mods, I can basically make it an entirely UK fleet, but I think I've made a mistake because I don't have that many UK trains now, so I think a large majority of my trains are just from like the 90s and probably like late 80s. So it's going to be a couple of years before I actually unlock them. So for now, it is a weird mix of UK and like Netherlands and mainland Europe trains, which I do wish that the UK had more like European stock, because a large majority of the European stock is actually quite good, especially compared to modern day British stock. I mean, do I have to say anything more than the 720s and basically any Aventra trains? I mean, I say that, then the Hitachi trains are also absolutely god-awful, the 800 series. The 395s are great, love them, just a shame they couldn't replicate the seats on the 800 series. Hitachis, because they accelerate fast, they're great. And their ride quality is okay, I guess. But the seats, oh my god, the seats. How not to do comfort, I find. That's just a problem with modern day UK rolling stock, though, to be honest. Same with the Aventras. I absolutely hate the fact that like modern day seating has to be so uncomfortable. The only modern UK rolling stock that does seating well are the Flirts. They're absolutely comfortable, and it does create this like paradox where the seats are so comfortable that in first class it's like not worth upgrading, because the first class seats are basically the standard class seats, but like with a very slight upgrade. But like, there's no point in buying first class. But that's the same with a lot of modern day like British rolling stock anyway. The 700s, a lot of the well, actually, the Electrostars are a good example of just first class being a complete rip-off, because same seats, literally. Let's get some fancy rails. Sorry, fancy bridge, I should say. And one that we can maintain our speed limits. Not brick viaducts, because we're not in the Victorian era still. We'll do some like steel trusses. Oh, damn. There we go. I can remake it without the TGV service getting disrupted. Only that'll be 280 for the time. Yeah. Yeah, see, what I like to do for my high-speed lines is always to have it be grade separated, because I have had it on a few occasions where I've done like a high-speed service and I've been like, it's not really worth building separate tracks for this, because, you know, you're dabbling up the tracks, the frequency on the tracks that are already there isn't so great where, like, they'd be holding each other up, but I still find it's like the slow service will always bottleneck the high-speed service, so it's just worthwhile creating a new separate line, because you'll always see it where like they just go flying past at like 300 kilometers an hour, even though like the main line might still have a pretty high speed limit of like 200 and something, and maybe the high speed line can't even get up to like the top speed of 300 kilometers per hour. It can only probably get up to like 250, but that marginal difference still means it catches up and ends up having to, you know, like play leapfrog with the slow stopping service. So that's what I tend to do. Also, with the 720s, we need to stop 3x2. In the UK, we really need to stop 3x2. It's becoming a disgrace. I mean, I've had the misfortune of having to take a 720 all the way up to Cambridge from Liverpool Street, and oh my god, trying to fit through the aisles. I'm not a big person or anything. I'm pretty lanky, but like, holy Jesus, I can barely fit. I understand, fine, you need capacity, but like the 700s do capacity very well. And the seats, okay, the seats are ironing board, but like, the 700s are still only 2x2 configuration. 3x3 absolutely needs to be left in the pre-COVID era. Especially because even now, like, commuting will never return back to the levels it was pre-COVID. Because people are absolutely working a lot more from home now. And I feel like that's another thing that the railways, especially in the UK, don't realise, is like, leisure travel is, in a lot of cases, back to pre-pandemic levels, and plenty, and like in quite a lot of areas also above pre-pandemic levels, but it's still like, oh no, we need to focus on the commuters, we need to focus on the business travels, and I'm like, this is what's going to kill the railway network in this country. Is this obsession with commuter traffic, which hasn't dried up, because obviously like commuter services are still very busy, but you're not going to have the same numbers that you did before. So let's create a little town circular to get all the people from the town centre and the suburbs to the railway station. Create a straight line here, so that we can go around, serve all the houses and estates. And then maybe create like a bridge that goes over the railway here. Actually, I'm also going to redesign the roads here so that they better serve the outside of the railway without it looking absolutely horrendous. Whilst also creating a nice little bridge up. You should build a bus station for a train station so you can make a bus line from the station to the town. That is what I tend to do. I do create like bus feeder services, because you do need that in this game. However, creating a bus station, the main gripe I have with this game is the fact that bus stations are like, they're very useful to serve a large like area in the town, but they just end up being like bottlenecks, I find, especially if you have like a very high intensity like commuter like bus service. They just end up being like bottlenecks. So this is like a compromise. I tend to do like a little town circular instead. Okay, I've put the stops in the wrong direction. And this keeps up the frequency, it means I don't have to pour all like vehicle resources into this little feeder service. This game is just the most efficient way to do it in this game, even though in real life I would never design a service like this. I'd always create like a dedicated, like, you know, from the railway station into the bus station, go into the town, then terminate in the town and probably like another bus station, then actually come back on itself. Don't have any UK buses. It's a shame, but it's okay. In like 10 years time, we'll start getting Olympians, we'll start getting, what else? And in 30 years time, we'll get like ALX 400s. What's this? Line 6. Nope. This will be the Chorley Woods Circular. Chorley Woods Circular. There you go, get them all named up. Also realize we have a lot of places that start with C on our network. We have Christchurch, now we have Chorley Woods, and now we have Cirencester. I tried having a 2-track main line with multiple passenger lines and a freight service. Yeah, quickly I ended up quadding it. Yeah, I tend to find if you want to do like, you really need dedicated like service lines for each like specific service you want to do. If you want to do like a freight, like a branch service, you need a dedicated line. If you want to do like a main line, which is high speed, needs to be dedicated. If you want a freight line, it needs to be dedicated, because freight is just the slowest of them all. The top speed the wagons can do is only 80 kilometers per hour, which is absolutely pathetic. So it ends up holding up the entire main line. If you ever try to be efficient and just like utilize the main line you've built. And then obviously high speed, you have the commuter services which will hold that up. So there are a lot of considerations. So I just tend to just build dedicated lines now, even though it does look kind of wasteful, and I prefer to actually see like the main lines I've built be properly utilized. But it is what it is, honestly. Okay, so get 3 cars, create a new line, start it at Chorley Woods, send it down to Amersham, the little branch station here, which the game is a bit stupidly named Amersham Central, even though it's literally like on the outskirts of the town. You're trying to do like a London Southend Airport to try and claim you are in the town centre when you're really not. Okay, rename this line. This is the Metropolitan. Probably spelt that wrong, but also get it. Change the colour to the Met's purple colour. Get that going, and then actually create that like Waterloo and City Line type thing I was thinking of. Like, big cities use mostly trams and the good old German S-Bahn in Transport Fever 2. This is very true as well. I have began to see the light with like trams, and in this, especially in this game, if you have big cities, just use a tram. It's more efficient than a bus service, and more efficient than like trying to create a subway network. Because this subway network, I'm going to be entirely honest, is never going to be profitable. I mean, look, the train is full at capacity, and it is hemorrhaging money. The tram solves both of those problems. If you have an overloaded bus line, replace it with trams, make money, carry all the people, you won't have any problems. You can make a bus loop in both directions. Yeah, I can, but again, at the start of like, when you first service a town like this, which is very small, only has 100 residents, it's not worth creating the bus loop in both directions. You're just wasting resources on the opposite direction. And also, speaking of wasting resources, 3 buses is a bit too much for this. Actually, as a matter of fact, maybe even 2 buses is too much. Just leave it off at 1 bus with a 3-minute frequency. I never really care about freight. I don't either, but sometimes my cities get to a stage where they don't really grow much with like just by passenger connections, and I'm like, okay, I might as well like start serving some freight as well. My main focus is obviously on passengers, but it's good to sometimes also focus on freight just to grow the town that tiny bit more. This taxi service, I mean, I don't really know why I've created a taxi service. This is a bit of a waste of resources, because now I have to buy some more vehicles, because taxis can only hold 5 people. Which, I feel like is a tight squeeze. Also, they're 5 completely random people. In real life, this would be like a group of people going to like a hen do or somewhere. But I'm treating this like a bus service. Are you going to make a heritage sort of railway in the future on this map? I certainly am. Absolutely. I feel like eventually, I probably will, in the future, I'll see which line is not that profitable and which one probably like doesn't need a railway, and I'll just like chop it off from the network, be like, okay, this will be its own standalone heritage line. And also I'm panning over here because I feel like it most probably might be this line here. because this line is starting to look a bit not as busy as it once was, although it is turning somewhat of a profit. We have gone past the beaching era, so I can't really like justify cutting it based upon that, sadly. But I will definitely create like a heritage line eventually where we just run these old, dilapidated diesel units. I mean, to be fair, it's not going to be like a purposeful heritage line. It's going to be one that we just neglect into being like a heritage line. And again, as I said, it's probably going to be this line over here. This is where all the old, outdated stock is going to go to live. Spend the rest of its lives until they break down and we're like, okay, now we have to draft in more old stock. And fittingly, we have started doing that because this has come from the main line, this unit. I have 2 freight lines, just for fun, which run along the high-speed section of the main line, which can be realistic in some parts of Germany. Honestly, in the UK, I don't think we have any real dedicated freight lines. Freight in the UK tends to always use the passenger railways, but passenger trains have the priority in the UK. It's not a case of like in America where, you know, freight has the priority. If you're on a passenger train, sod you're gonna have to wait like 2 days for this massive long freight train to pass. Now you're delayed. You know, again, sod you. You're not valuable to us. In the UK, we prioritize our passenger services. But yeah, we don't have a dedicated freight line, though there are some freight services which do have like that's some freight services that only serve certain pieces of track. We don't actually have dedicated passenger services that serve those. But those are more like to connect different lines. I always play Infinite Money because I'm not too good at playing financially. I tend to find I always play. I never actually play with Infinite Money because I like the challenge of having to deal with money, because I do tend to find it relatively easy to turn a profit. But this save is a bit different, where I've decided to put it on hard mode instead of on normal. So that's why we aren't really making. We are making money. It's, you know, we made 9 million this year, but we're not making as much as we should be, and to expand, it's going to be a bit slow at this rate. I mean, we do. I say that, but I have just made like this line, which is hemorrhaging money at the moment, entirely because it's just not connected to the rest of the network here. So for now, I'm just going to create a little shuttle bus that goes from this station all the way down to Amersham Central Station. Go up here, up to the main street, apparently. This is the high street. The game just doesn't make any sense. This is the Amersham branch shuttle. Actually, I should probably name it the Amersham Met Shuttle. And then also recolor this into the Metropolitan Line's purple. In the future, do you plan on making something like the Overground? Probably will make something like the Overground, but cities in this game don't really get big enough to justify an entire like suburban rail network. Like as I said, this subway network that I've done here is really gonna struggle justifying its existence. It will always lose money. So if I try to do something like above ground, like an overground service, that again is going to really struggle to justify its existence. But I can try, and I do plan on in the future actually having like the main line be extremely profitable, subsidizing these tiny little branch lines that don't really like make any money. Speaking of which, this line's carrying 2 people right now. Ay caramba, I might have made a massive mistake creating this. It really is not servicing anything at all. Yikes. To think I also spent however many millions also building this track. It's all double tracked. I haven't made it single tracked. It's all electrified as well with third rail, which is standard for this era. In a couple of years' time, British Rail would switch to mostly electrifying stuff with overheads. So in terms of our main line, which goes from Cirencester or through Amersham to St Albans, the next stop on this would probably be Warwick, because that's the next big city along the line. For this branch line that we have, I feel like we should extend it up to Leatherhead and then up to Chorley-Woods. I feel like that will do it some good, but that will require actually buying some more vehicles because the current frequency isn't great on it. But that might actually justify its existence. And then this little branch line up to Chorley-Woods, yeah, this is what's going to become our heritage railway. Because this will never ever turn a profit, I don't feel like. I mean, it's running at a 4-minute frequency and we're literally carrying 4 people. That's nearly 1 person per train. Sorry, now we're getting up to 2 people per train. Which is, whoa, crazy. So over here, okay, so the circular needs more capacity. What are we... So these have capacity of 40. So I'll get 2 more on this line. Since clearly we need it. There's 70 people waiting for the circular outside the station. Get those transported around. As for the bus service here, getting this circular might justify 1 more vehicle. Whoops. Don't clone all vehicles. Don't want to double the frequency. That is insane. These vehicles are mediocre, so I probably will replace them, make them very good. Yep, get this filled up. There's still 50 people waiting here. There's 100 people waiting for our main line. Our main line's making decent money. Then our branch line is existing. It's vibing. It's sort of doing its own thing at the moment, to be honest. But it's certainly doing a lot more than the Met is doing currently. Which is absolutely unfortunate, to be honest. Oh, it's also because I didn't buy any vehicles for the Met shuttle. Would be ideal if I did that. Get 2 vehicles, put them onto the Metropolitan shuttle. So that they shuttle them from Amersham Central Station. Which is what I'll probably name this. Or actually Amersham South. And then this will be Amersham North. If you imagine that the compass is, that north is pointing up this way. Can you extend the Metropolitan line to the town next to Chorley-Woods? I probably could. I feel like it probably would have been more advisable had I actually served some other town along the way, like Kidsgrove, maybe Leatherheads, instead of going straight to Chorley-Woods. So I might realign the track. Also, we finally have unlocked the HST. Might end up replacing my mainline trains with those. Because these are great trains, although 75 million for a train set, we not even close to that, so that's yikes. Yeah, so I think what I'll actually do is probably realign this track so it serves Leatherhead, Chorley-Woods, before going down to Amersham. Kidsgrove, compare that to Leatherhead, which has 300 residents, so this is the bigger town and the bigger population centre to actually serve. But again, in true British rail fashion, not really going to be serving the town centres. Going to keep it out into the suburbs and then create a shuttle bus to take you to the town centre. Get this old station front on. Have the streets come out front. And now just demolish the line that was made here and reroute it. So disconnect this. The game's going to complain about that because now the Metropolitan line is completely disrupted. I'm probably going to leave like some pieces of track, just like, oh, there's an abandoned tunnel in here basically. Is there a train in here? Nope. So just gonna hold on, get the tracks. Get it so it pokes its head out. So then you can say, oh look, there's an abandoned train tunnel here. Wonder what that used to do. Whereas now the new alignment is going to run alongside the coast over here. Then turn up here to go via Leatherheads, which obviously in real life does not have a connection to Amersham. Although, to be fair, that would be very useful if there was a connection that went like along the west side of London, from Leatherheads through like Heathrow, Kingston, actually connecting up to the northwest part of London from the southwest. I feel like that would be very useful. That's like a rail connection that just doesn't exist at the moment. So we can pretend like that's what we're doing. That's our improvement plan. And then reroute this over here so that it connects up to the main station. There we go. So now, instead of being a direct line between Amersham and Chorleywood, it now curves into here, serves Leatherhead before continuing down. Have you downloaded the A stock yet? No, I haven't. I don't think the A stock exists on the workshop, sadly. I do have the 92 stock, but that is the only like underground stock that I actually have installed in this game. Chorleywood, add a station over at Leatherhead, and then from the north, get it over here. Make sure it's running in the right direction for the signals, and it looks like it is. Fantastic. Right, and now signals, get it all signaled up, because obviously this is a new section. Don't want the trains, you know, to be kissing each other. Having a really important meeting with the front end with the back end of another train. That would be unfortunate. It seems to be around every 9 to 12 minutes for my line. Most of my regional and high-speed lines are at very high frequency intervals, and to keep it realistic. I tend to do the same as well, but I'm a bit confused, and I'm not sure what the translation between like the in-game frequency is and what like the real-life frequency would be, because obviously I found the sweet spot in this game is a 3-minute frequency for any line you do. That will attract passengers. But obviously sometimes a line is so busy, so you end up having a frequency that's like every 110 seconds. But in my mind, I don't know if what that translates to in real life. Is that like a 9-minute frequency in real life? Is that like a 6-minute frequency in real life? Is that, you know, even more frequent? Are we talking like metro style, every 2 minutes a train appears? Because it sounds very frequent for a train to turn up every like 100 seconds. That is almost getting to Victoria Line levels of frequency, which in London, the Victoria Line runs every single 90 seconds during the peak hours, which is just a marvel of efficiency. And it is fascinating to watch, you know, go down to a Victoria Line platform, you sit there during rush hour, huge waves of people come, wait on the platform, train comes in, loads up, unloads, loads, departs. Before the next train has even fully left the platform, you already see the next train pulling in, and there's already another horde of people waiting. It is just interesting. What happens if you put no signals? So this game doesn't do collisions, thankfully, or somewhat, also sad, kind of, because it is fun. Okay, fun maybe is the wrong word, but it is entertaining, like on OpenTTD when you don't put signals and they collide, and then you get little pop-ups saying, oh no, 100 people have died in a fireball outside Leatherhead Station. This game doesn't do that. If there are no signals, the train will just say it's waiting for a free path. So it will basically treat it like it's a signal between it and the train in front. It won't actually go any further until the path in front of it is completely cleared. I have the 92, 96, and S stock. Alright, well, as it turns out, I've not done my research properly then, because I tried searching for like a lot of underground stock stuff and I couldn't find anything other than the 92 stock. If that is the case, I will get the A stock, S stock, and 96 stock all in place for the next episodes, because, I mean, who doesn't like a good classic underground railway stock in their games? Get this little town centre service going. I do also hate it how the game tries to loop them around here, even though I feel like it is just more efficient for them to turn back on themselves. So I tend to just add like this, and that's, I feel like that's a lot faster than them doing a massive loop. Add in a town. Okay, no, town depot's there. Get 3 vehicles. I feel like would be needed for this service, which is line 6, which we're going to rename from that to the Leatherhead. Okay, this is going to be the one. No, make it 101 from Leatherhead Station to King's Roads. To Leatherhead King's Roads, which obviously not real life location. This is just what the game has named that stop as, because I guess it assumes that this is King's Road over here. Oh, and also a 09 stock, even a District Line B stock from 1905. Well, stations are kind of like invisible signals. That is true as well. However, I don't think trains... I'm pretty certain trains won't actually... For example, if there's a train already in the station here, and I've just like bought a new train at the depot here, and I set it running, if there wasn't any signals, this train wouldn't leave and go up to the station. It would still wait here until this train has completely cleared these tracks. So I don't really think stations act like properly signals. I mean, I know what you're going with, but I don't think so. LU stock pack with the... Oh, okay. Yeah, I've completely messed up then. Actually, very quickly, I'm probably going to take a look at the Steam Workshop to actually find this stuff. The problem I have is, like, I don't really know what to search for when it comes to workshop stuff, because it never comes under, like, one banner. If you search for British Rail stuff, London Underground stuff, you know, like, Network Rail stuff, you get completely different stuff. Oh, I do actually have the S stock installed, but I don't have the 09 stock, I don't have the D stock, I don't have the 72 or 73 stocks. Okay, so... I will install those right now, and then the Underground Tube Stock Pack, which I will actually get up and running. I will have that installed for the next episode, because as I said, don't have it installed now, but I do have the S stock and the 92 stock. Those are the only tube trains I actually have installed. Search A stock. A stock. Do I see where the A stock... Oh, I do see where the District Line B stock is from 1905. I have come across that. I don't actually... No, I can't see the A stock. I've searched for the... Might search for the Metropolitan Line A stock. That might come up. I absolutely spelt Metropolitan wrong. Metropolitan A stock. Nope, I can't come across it. Anyway, back to the game. So this new branch line 2 Leatherhead's doing pretty decently. It's not too bad. And I have installed those extra trains. Very quickly, I might relaunch this. I'm going to save the game, relaunch it with those mods installed. Actually, I don't know if I can enable mods after I've created a save file. I think... Oh, the A stock is in the Underground Tube Pack. Oh, okay. That's fine then. I did install that. But the question is am I actually able to modify what mods I have running when I've already created a save? Because I don't think I'm able to do that. Also, this line, we're just going to demolish it, because otherwise you end up paying maintenance on this stuff. And we're going to leave it up until here. Because... Oh, that doesn't count as a double lip junction, so I will connect it up here Actually, as a matter of fact, there's really no point in having this be double tracked. I'm actually going to just demolish this. Because again, you do end up paying maintenance to actually maintain pieces of track. So as much as I'm okay with having like this section here to be like, oh look, there's an abandoned bit of track here. Let's remove also the signals because those cost money as well. Having more than just this, I'd be paying unnecessary maintenance costs. Which is also, again, why I try to be like more efficient and not have multiple lines for everything. But as I said, the game kind of requires it, so it's like it's a 50-50 situation. So that's increased. So the frequency has decreased by a minute. It's now every 5 minutes with 3 trains. But is also proven a lot more popular. Tenfold, because now we're carrying nearly 200 people instead of just 4. The downside to that is the shuttle is now extremely busy. So much so that it might be worth turning this into like a Waterloo and City type deal, where it's a shuttle between Amersham North and Amersham South. Or the I do have that mod installed. The what's it called? I forgot the People Mover shuttle. I forgot what station it serves. It's like which is on the London Midland network. I have genuinely forgotten. Damn. Okay, so get this going through the town. Okay, so it takes a very long while to go underground, so I might as well. I'm just going to keep it above ground. Since this is a little shuttle, I don't feel like it will need that long a platform, so I'll create a little bay platform here off the sides. Oh, and the game is shouting at me because this train is now confused. Which is going in the wrong direction. Send it back here. There we go. Oh, so it was driving with its doors open, which, you know, typical 1970s Britain with the slam door stock, which is part of the reason why they were removed. Even though it was absolutely fun to poke your head out the window whilst the train was in motion. It's also a completely lunatic thing to do, but it was fun. And I mean, also I was young and naive. Although granted, I didn't actually do it on the HST units. I did it on the Class 91s, which were on the Greater Anglia network. Remove all this industry. It's fine because they will rebuild everything. Turn it over here, and now this is a little branch line shuttle to go from the north to the south. Create a new line between here. Call this the Amersham and City line. There we go, and now we can get a little bubble car on there. Although the nearest depot is that one up there. Alright, so in that case, okay, I guess I'll have to go with diesel. I will correct this. I will put like the 92 stock onto this branch line. This little shuttle. Okay, can't find path. So put this onto the Metropolitan. Send it up to here, and then from here switch lines because it can reverse. And finally rebuilt my line with 3 tunnels and 2 viaducts. Wasn't the 90 on Greater Anglia? No, it was Class 91s. They were like the Intercity 225s because they could go. They were the electric version, basically, of their HSTs. It's a shame because they had really comfortable seating. And actually, speaking of their seating, as it turns out, they've decided to put them into the waiting room down at Ashford International in the UK, which is absolutely funny because it was completely random. Class 91s never served Ashford International, didn't even come close to serving it. Yet there they are in the waiting room out, near the Starbucks in the station. This train, pretty full, 61 people, so I'll let it come through Leatherheads, continue down to Amersham North, and then drop off all the people. Before it starts picking up people, I'll then switch its line over to the Amersham and City line. And if we look, Leatherheads in Network Southeast colours, And then, obviously, we'll consider this part to be Network Southeast. As we go further north, we're going to change this into regional brands. We don't see Network Southeast. And also get probably some intercity branding on our express high-speed lines. And obviously, the problem with these early diesel, well, not really early, but like these later stopgaps diesel BR units is that their acceleration is abhorrent. For example, we're only going 103 kilometers per hour, and it took absolutely ages to get up to this speed. In fact, we're actually slowing down because we're going up at slight gradients. So these things have absolutely no acceleration whatsoever. That is why, eventually, on the main line, I would prefer to... Oh, these trains are waiting for a free path. What's happened here? Aha, I see. The electric units have caught up to the very slow diesel units. So I feel like, as I said, I'm going to replace them with 421s. Get half of the units to be in the British Rail blue and grey livery. And the other half in, well, I don't even know what this was called, but like this green heritage livery. Where is that unit? Is that the unit that, Anyway, it doesn't matter if this was the unit that I bought as new. This is now arriving into Amersham North. So we're gonna wait for it to deboard all its passengers. And then send it off onto the Amersham and City line. So now wait as all passengers start deboarding. It's still 86. Okay, going down to 80. Unlock the class 47. Interesting. Going down to 50. Oh man, these are really slow to deboard as well. They really just have nothing going for them. There we go. There's now 3 people, and it's complaining about having... Oh yes, because I didn't connect this side of the track onto there. There we go. Okay, you do have a path now. You can stop complaining. And also, once again, it's driving with its doors open. This is late 1970s health and safety standards, everyone. To be fair, these trains didn't even have central lock-in. The doors could be opened whilst the trains were in motion. There we go, and there is now 20 people waiting for this little shuttle lot. Pretty good. Now you might be asking, why not just extend, double track this and then extend the Metropolitan line down to Amersham South? I could do that, but I prefer just having this little meme here. Pretty much. Also, this bus shuttle, 2 more buses just to get all the people here actually moved. So that they can go down to the main line. And now we should start seeing people prefer to take the Amersham and City line instead of actually getting off and taking the bus service. I mean, obviously this is like a bit of a waste of resources running this right now. As I said, we're going to replace it with this Amersham and City line. And then over here, this is filling up very nicely. But again, I get the feeling that this is probably one of those lines that will never properly turn a profit. I mean, it might do. I kind of hope it does. Because it would be fun to actually say that this is actually monetarily viable instead of it just being kind of like a fun little joke. Again, 70 people here, so this is filling up pretty nicely. Actually, this is going to be at capacity and leaving people behind. So we're going to have to extend these units eventually. In terms of the main line, so if we look at the main line, 4-minute frequency now, thanks to these uprated electric multiple units, the class 421s. This is unit number 1890. You can see in standard British Rail like bubble car compartments configuration. Although I say that, this is first class up here, and then over here you have the like it's not transverse seating all the way down. Not really designed for high capacity, metro use. That's more for the main line. Speaking of metro use, let's see what our circle line. Actually, I'm gonna rename this to. Actually, hold on. The Sire. I might name this the Sire Circle line. There you go. So that we know what town it's in, and what its purpose is. The only compromise that I had when building this was, unfortunately, I've made it basically cut across all the Egerton tracks here, which is horrendously inefficient. That means that if there's any trains here waiting to leave, or if you have one on the circle line leaving, it cuts across all these lines. These trains in here will have to wait, or if these trains are coming through here, then the circle line has to wait. Which I would prefer that the circle line waited instead of like my main line operations, but I found that this was the ideal solution, sort of. It's not really ideal, but like it's the best of like the worst options, because otherwise I'd have to completely reroute everything and reroute this into platform 1 and then move the main line into platforms 2 and 3 and then move the branch line into 3 and 4. It's a bit of a deal, but how are we doing on money? So we're doing pretty well on money. I might actually do that now that I think about it. So no trains approaching, no trains leaving, none in the station. So we're gonna demolish everything. Demolish this spaghetti web of track that I've made, which is horrendous. Well, in most cases there are multiple different lines running on the main line, which I guess is the reason people use my public transport. Yep. Yeah, that tends to be a reason as to why multiple people will use public transports. So what I'm also going to do is extend this platform here. I've also found, I don't know if you found the same, that Transport Fever 2 doesn't really do like, I want to destroy this bridge and rebuild it. Doesn't do like support lines that well either. If you have multiple lines running, say, from like one station to another to support each other because one is like horrendously busy or whatnot, if you create a support line, what tends to happen is passengers will just get off at the first station and then wait for the other line and then take that line to their destination. It seems to be a bit finicky. I don't know if they've changed that, because I've been playing this game for so long that like when I first noticed that, I completely changed the way that I was designing my network. And I've never actually returned back. I've never gone back to actually see if it's changed, if it's any better now. You should make Amersham your main city. To be fair, Amersham sort of is my main city now. I think it's also the largest with 1,026. Ooh, it's a close race. It is my main city by only 20 people. Actually, a better way to look at that is at the town diagram down here. By size, yeah, Amersham is my biggest city, although here it says it has a larger population than it actually does. Oh no, it has a smaller population than it actually does. Interesting. But yep, Amersham definitely is going to be my main city. Definitely where I'm also going to place my headquarters. Although I think, didn't I put my headquarters here? Might have done. Anyway, back to the task at hand of actually rerouting this into the platform 1 low level. Now that has too much curvature. Oh, this is going to be an absolute pain, I feel. Okay, so what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to put this here and then try fit this over here like that. Okay, that works. Now, to get this over, that is horrendous. I mean, obviously, like, this is a tiny little subway service, so it doesn't really need like long winding curves. It doesn't need to be high speeds. That's not the point of this. This being our main line, we're going to route it into platforms 2 and 3 up here. And then create a double lip cross so that, okay, maybe not like that. In terms of the circle line, so at the central station, go into platform 1. So we don't really need this then, to be honest. That's kind of extra to requirements. But leave this in place just in case we ever decide to actually create a inner and outer circle. Create a little double lip here so that they can cross over. Now I've kind of shot myself in the foot here because I could route this into here and then into here. But then obviously that says too much curvature, put that into there. So that now they have a choice of which platforms they can go into. And then put some signals over here, over here, over there, over there. Now need to go over into the line management and change it so that it's routed into platform 2. And now it's saying that it can't find a path, which is a bit confusing, to be honest. Oh, it's because this doesn't have catenary. It's not actually technically electrified. That will be why, even though I did third rail electrify it, so it shouldn't complain. However, it has decided that doesn't work. Oh, actually, is this line? Ah, right, actually, no, I see what the problem is. These tracks, these are the tracks that aren't electrified. So put third rail electrification in. Upgrade that, then connect this back up to here. Now it shouldn't be complaining. Okay, now it's not complaining. Now the only thing that is complaining is this branch line because it can't get into platform 2, which it's not going to use. I'm going to put it into platform 5. Now for some reason it's complaining about couldn't connect the alternate terminals. I am a bit confused. Oh, still trying to go into platform 2. That is why. Okay, for the main line, its alternate terminal will be then platform 3. Okay, some reason it doesn't want to go on platform 3. Okay, again, bit strange. I wonder if that's because I haven't put overhead lines in. Is it because of that? Go to tools. Might be. Okay. Come back here, configure this. Demolish these tracks once again. And actually replace them with the catenary electrified ones. The high speed ones, even though, I mean, it's not really like a high speed service, so it's not necessary. It's always good to have in place. It just looks better. Do you have the auto signal mod? I don't, sadly. Do you have the packs for those trains? I do. I have downloaded the underground pack, which I will actually do in the next episode. I will replace all my services. Well, I say all my services. I'm going to replace like the Metropolitan line with 72 stock trains, maybe A stock actually as well. Put that over there. Has that fixed it? No, it's still complaining because it's tried to reroute it into platform 3. Okay, so platform 4 even. Alright, there we go. So that works. Now it's just complaining about severed connections because this road bridge over here, we demolished it. Since this is a mainline connection, I feel like this should be a larger road, a more bigger road, but I don't want to encourage people to drive, so I'm not going to make it be any bigger. Send it up so it bridges over. Okay, maybe that's a bit high. Oops, that's the railways. Send it up a bit. There you go, so it goes over. Reroute this. So that from here... I mean... Or you can just go down. There you go, reroute it over there, like that. So now this is all sorted. So now there's not a horrendous overlap on the circle line. And also, the mainline station, I just realised, also doesn't have a canopy to cover it. So I will also put that on, which is under passenger build? No. Platforms. Tracks. I don't actually remember where it was this. MISC? It was under MISC. Yeah, so I'm going to put this over here, like that. There we go. So that now the main line and the branch line are covered. I mean, apart from when it comes into this little side platform. And this is our, well, I was going to say main station, but this is the town's main station. I'm going to play my German map with low graphics so that it doesn't lag spike all the time. I think my settings are on high currently. They're on very high. But I feel like towards the end of the series, when I actually have loads of vehicles, I might have to turn that down to high instead of very high. You know, subtle brag. Yep, so they're coming in, they're going out. What is this train waiting for? This is waiting for a free path. Aha, I see, because this is a branch line and I've made this be a single path. As a matter of fact, I might actually just get it to go back into the station to pick up more people. Since it has decided to wait there, pick up more people, wait there, and stop this train here so that it doesn't go into this single line section. Although in saying that, I might actually double track it and hit this. The main issue I have with this is the fact that this is this is like the midpoint, but it's a tunnel, and I ideally didn't want the passing point to be in a tunnel because then that's more expensive. But I don't really have much of a choice. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to do this, and now it has a passing point, so that it's not just waiting. They're not just waiting for each other at either ends. Low graphics, to be fair, low graphics does still look good. That is very true. And the same could be said for stuff like City Skylines. When you first start off, perfectly fine to run it at like high settings, but once you get a massive city built up, I tend to find this with a lot of like management games. You do ideally want to turn down your graphics because otherwise, you know, the simulation will start to struggle. Barely play Transport Fever 2 anyways. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. If you don't really play it much, there's no real point in like caring about the graphics, really, I'd say. Oh, also, this branch line suddenly is doing extremely well. That diversion to Leatherhead is really paying off. So much so, it might be worthwhile actually replacing these units with high-capacity electric multiple units, which don't have an electric path. Okay. What path is not electrified? So if we go over to the vehicle management screen, so you've electrified down here. Right, okay. So what the game has done is I've tried to maintain that because this is third rail, it should technically be electrified, but the game doesn't see it like that way. So what I'm going to have to do is actually put catenary up, overhead lines, all the way down through Leatherheads and back up to Chorleywood. This is our makeshift metropolitan line. Did I not? Oh, okay. I see. Because these are third rail, catenary is invisible. Okay, so that saves the effort of actually like seeing them. I didn't realize that that's what this this rail option did. That's my bad. That should fix it. That hasn't fixed it. Okay. interesting. Oh, no, that has fixed it. And we have, okay. I was going to say, we have unlocked the Leyland Olympian, which can replace a few of our vehicles with. However, the Metropolitan line is again complaining. Why? Okay. What part of it is not electrified properly? I mean, it's allowed me to... What it is I think the third rail mod kind of buggers the game a bit. So I might actually have to upgrade some of these tracks with high-speed rail instead. I'm gonna go my UK map-ish, which is way smaller and not as many trains. That's fair. Oh, okay, that seems to have solved the problem, apparently, with the Met. Intriguing. Okay, so now we let the Metropolitan line do its thing. And this, I think, will be a good point to actually end this episode, because it's been over an hour long, and I thank everyone for making it this far. And yeah, it is very weird using kilometers per hour when building British stuff. It doesn't make any sense to my brain. If I'm being entirely honest, I don't really know what the conversion is between kilometers per hour and miles per hour. So I just kind of see like, oh, the maximum limit is 200 kilometers per hour. Yeah, okay, I guess that sounds about right for UK stuff. I think, obviously, with the like 91s and I think the 90s as well, they were branded the Intercity 225s because their top speed is 225 kilometers per hour. It doesn't make any sense as to why they've decided to use kilometers per hour, but we ignore that. Whereas the Intercity 125s, which were the HSTs, obviously their top speed is 125 miles per hour. So I assume 225 kilometers per hour is about 120. No, it might be 100. Actually, I'm going to quickly Google it because I don't want to look like a complete imbecile here. Because it sounds wrong saying 225 kilometers per hour sounds about like 120. Yeah, it's about 140 miles per hour. That's what I thought, which is funny because no railway in the UK goes that fast. The highest that we have is High Speed 1, and it does go 140 miles per hour, but that's literally only in the high speed section between St Pancras and Ashford International. That's the only line that goes that fast. Everything else is limited to 125 or less in this country, so it doesn't make any sense. 200 is 125. That makes sense as to why the UK rails are limited to 200 kilometers per hour. Yes, thanks for that. Also, it's in the settings, I assume, to change it to miles per hour. I should have done that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why I've left it in that. I think I did end up changing it. I did end up changing it before, but switching over PCs, re-downloading the game, yada yada, I forgot to change it back. Anyway, see, this train going 80 miles per hour. Tasty. If we manage these vehicles actually very quickly, these have mediocre acceleration, but when compared to the units that they replaced, which were these little bubble things, which have apparently mediocre, but like, no. Top speed for slopes, 18 miles per hour. That is absolutely pathetic. These had good acceleration. That's not what I witnessed, if I'm being entirely honest. Anyway, so this is a good spot to end this episode. In the next episode, I'm actually going to relaunch the game and replace everything with the tube stock pack, especially on the Metropolitan line. I'm going to replace it with the A stock. I'll also replace our Metro shuttle with our Waterloo and City line with probably like 72 and 73 stock units. So that will be what's to look forward to. I think the Eurostar is allowed to do 186 on HS1. The Eurostar is not allowed to do Not allowed to go that fast on HS1. I'm pretty certain Eurostar in this country is also limited to 140. Unless they're timetabled, like, perfectly so that Eurostar doesn't catch up to the high-speed services. Because otherwise, I don't see how that can be compatible with, like... Because obviously, Eurostar will end up catching up to high-speed services if they're only limited to 140. So I would presume that their Eurostar is also limited to 140, but I could be wrong. I do think, however, they have the clearance to do 186 on British on High Speed 1. They do have the clearance to do it, but in practice they're limited to 140. Which is also the same, I think, for the Class 395s. The 395s can go faster than 140, but they're still limited to 140. Which is, again, the painful case with a lot of the stuff with railways in this country. The physical trains can go faster, but they're limited to 125 because our infrastructure absolutely sucks. It's abysmal. But as we have our Class 421 pull in to Amersham North, unload all its passengers. This is the point where I'll end this video. I'll thank everyone for watching. If you did enjoy, and if you did make it this far, please leave a like on the video because it means a lot. It helps me out. I upload Transport Fever Tycoon. I keep trying to say Transport Fever Tycoon. Transport Fever 2 videos every single week. I stream them. So subscribe for more if this is the type of content you like. But that will be all